Hello there, welcome. It's a very nice day, and I do realize how shiny my head is. So now we've got that out of the way. Um, I wanted to talk today about relationships and not just relationships between um, you know uh, that involve love, but any kind of relationship um, that we have as in society, and the differences between how different people play. Um, in in any game, you need to understand how the rules work first before you can move ahead. If you go into the game and you're learning the rules, like the other person is going to win. If you're going in and you don't know the rules, and so that person who's playing you already has an advantage, if unless both of you don't know the game. Um, but in how we work, it's been made very apparent, and it seems to make sense to me, some of the things that I've come to understand and the differences in how I used to act and how I act now, and how the world seems to act with me upon knowing the things that I know. Not saying that I'm better than anyone else, no one is worth more, but I think it's worth sharing this knowledge. So here I am. Um, in many of the books that I've read, it talks about the differences in femininity and masculinity, and um, it doesn't mean women, it doesn't mean men. You can have feminine men and masculine women. You can have feminine women and masculine men, and you can have people who are in the middle. But as men, we tend to not really understand what women want, what they're asking for, and why they're asking for it, and why they say the things that they say and do the things that they do, and then obviously how we respond to it. So, going to the obvious, um, let's talk about the masculine side first, and we'll go into the feminine, and then how we can respond to it. So, how men and masculine people play games is very open. Jordan Peterson made a comment once that if that men play generally open games. So, what is an open game? An open game is like football or chess or boxing. Both of them are, all of them are, I know what you're doing. Like, I can see that you're coming in with a punch, and I can see on the board how you are moving, and I can try and work out what you're doing, because I'm openly telling you what it is that I'm doing. Um, Football, it's, I can see where you're coming from, and I can then develop my attack that way. So he Jordan Peterson, in continuing this kind of point, that with men, we know that we can always, if depend, we know that there is an eventual, depending on how the conversation, depending on how the relationship works, violence can is an acceptable form of dealing with someone who is not acting the way that you want them to act. And so if someone's being dishonest, you can then go in and do that. Like, we know at the end that this person can hurt me, or I can hurt this person, or we can hurt each other. We know that this is the thing, but men generally don't want to take it that far. And we don't want to get hurt, we don't want to have violence had to us, and we don't really feel great giving violence. Of course, there are some people who do enjoy it, and for those sadomasochists out there, this, I don't think that's particularly great, but it is what it is. So when we play an open game, both people know both sides of the game. We understand the rules, and I'm going to tell you that I don't like this. You want to tell me that you don't like this, and we're very, very direct in how we are dealing with each other. This is what I want. Can you give it to me? No, I can't give it to you. Okay, well then I need to find someone else. Okay, I need to find someone else who can give you what you need for what you're offering. Very simple, very, very plain. That is a very masculine way of dealing with relationships and situations. This is what I want. Do you have it? No. Okay. This is what I want. Do you have it? Yes. Okay. I can give you this. This is what it is. Right. Cool. Now, On the opposite side, with the feminine way of dealing with things, they play indirect games. And so, what is an indirect game? An indirect game is like politics. You know, you have to say certain things, but there is an underlying separate game that you are playing, trying to get your trying to get to the end of what you want to happen, trying to make sure what you happens without the other person understanding fully what the game is or what your actions mean. So, you know, how is this demonstrated? If you know, there was a video done by the Ho Math channel, Ho_Math channel, talking about who is beautiful. I think it's, or who is a 10, I think is the name of the video. Brilliant video. I'll put a link below because it's fantastic. And he talks about these open games. And so one of the ways that girls, that you know, the feminine energy plays this is, you know, they tell, you know, no matter how everyone looks, they tell each other that they're beautiful, which sounds great on the surface. I want to, you know, I want you to feel good. But but depending on how you look, you need, you know, there are different games being played. So let's say there's someone who is, you know, very attractive. So being, you know, modeled here, and then very attractive, mid-tier, and then low-tier attractive. And what you will have is the attractive person telling the low-tier, unattractive woman that she's beautiful. And that, you know, that can help build her self-esteem. That can be a really positive thing for the moment. That being said, a game that can be played, which is played an awful lot more than people think it's played, is if you become good looking, if you change and become better, then you become someone who is a rival for me. So then if I don't tell you to change and I keep telling you that you are beautiful the way that you are, you will continue to struggle and it will be easier for me. And then the opposite way around is the ugly girl will be with the beautiful girl and tell her that she's beautiful. And this group think will tell each other that they're beautiful, that they're 10s, and that they don't need to change. And the ugly girl telling the good-looking girl will say this, because it will allow me to be accepted and as a group be a part of the unit. And if I'm close to someone who's good-looking, that will make me better looking as well, because I'm in the area. I'm around someone who people are attracted to, and it'll give me opportunities. And it's much easier that way than it is, you know, the other way, because you have to be kind of deceptive to tell someone that they're beautiful when you know categorically that they're not. And I think this is how the feminine energy, a more negative version of feminine energy is being played in the world around us. And this has always happened. This is not something that has developed over time. This is not something that, this has always been here. So this is how the feminine energy acts in certain scenarios. And a more positive thing is being honest and being like, you know, I actually care about you. And I think, you know, are you doing okay? Because you've not been looking too great, or you've been gaining weight or something, in a private area, so that I can help you be the best version of who you are. But that doesn't seem to happen. Now, for many years of my life, I was, growing up as a nice kid, as a nice guy, and doing what I was hearing women telling me to do. What happened was every relationship I was in, the first 5 relationships I was in, catastrophically failed. And the problem was with me and my understanding of how the game was being played. I was understanding that if you buy the girl flowers, you do the things that the movies tell us to do, that society tells you to do, it will get you the result that you want. They will like you because you're being nice to them, which isn't really the case. You know, we all know in the workspace, back at school, however you saw it, it seems to be in society that, you know, girls seem to favour brutish, bully men, and which is, you know, and so what is happening here? If they were being, if it was honesty and being nice and doing what you're doing, you know, doing all these nice things, that's what would get you the attention that you wanted. But that isn't the case. It's not what happens. But I want to say this story. I want to tell you this story as like, because I'd read about, you know, masculinity and the masculine energy and the feminine energy, and I'd never really put it into practice up until a year ago, maybe 9 months ago, and I saw a humongous change in how things worked. And on reflection, actually, this is how I naturally was years ago, and I saw it work positively for me. Or it's, you know, that experience is a little less positive, but it's you know, it showed something. So I want to tell you these two stories. So, you know, I've been taught to be nice to women, to get them flowers, to show up to their home, to open doors for them, to let them get in the car, to to be, you know, open the door for them to get in the car, open the door for them to go home, provide for them, and do all those kinds of things. Which is, you know, that in a perfect world, that sounds nice, you know, and that would get me the attention I want. But that never really worked, because you have to be the man that they want that to come from first. If they don't want you, if they want that attention but not from you, then you're the problem. And that's a very complicated thing to explain, so we'll leave that for maybe a later video. In a party, I had met this very lovely, beautiful lady, and I asked her out. So I met her. I asked to meet her. Well, she asked to meet up with me, and I was like, "Oh, great! She's great. She's gorgeous. Let's, you know, why wouldn't I?" So I met up with her, and I basically was very direct. I want us to be in a relationship. I'm not gonna hang out with you unless that's what it is, because I want more, and if you don't want that, that's okay. And she was like, okay, you know. But the way I went about it was, although quite direct, it was very, in a very scared kind of, I didn't think she would say yes. And her response was, like, oh, may as well. So on retrospect, it was, there's nothing better going on in my life, so I may as well. And at the time I felt great. On reflection, it wasn't great. That's, you know, her putting up with me, and she's got nothing else going on. And she, a week after this, I was invited to a party yonks ago, like before this, like months before this, the relationship started. And then about 2 weeks after, a week after, I had this party to go to. So I paid for her entry fee, and I picked her up with a few friends, and we went in. And I was very excited to show off this very lovely, beautiful girl to my friends. You know, this is my girlfriend. We separated, and when I met up with her again, she'd made a few friends, and she introduced me to them as, this is my friend Harry. And, you know, in the moment, you know, my immediate, you know, lizard brain response was, you know, how dare you say that, you can't do that. But it was, you know, that it would not have been great to like do that. That would have been a very weak emotional way to respond, to just say, to directly in front of people call her out. So, you know, and it would have, you know, I would have, you know, won the battle but lost the war. So I allowed it to happen. I waited, and then we separated for a bit. I was talking with a few people, and then I saw her go outside on her own, and I was like, okay, you know, I'm a boyfriend, so I'll go out and check on her. So I asked her. I asked her this because clearly to me, after reading what I'd read and understanding what I'd understood, she was playing a closed game. And the closed game was that she didn't feel safe, and she wanted to make sure that she was secure in herself to do this. So in separating herself from me a little bit more than I was ready to, you know, offending me but pleasing everyone else, it would have been safe for her in that place. You know, that's my male brain understanding. Maybe I've missed something there. Maybe someone in the comments is going to tell me what a more likely thing happened. But for now, we'll go with this. And after assuring that she was okay, I gave her a few lines of questions. You know, so, you know, why did you call me your friend? You know, very non-confrontational, just asking politely, you know, why did you call me a friend when we're dating, when I'm your girlfriend? I'm your boyfriend, you're my girlfriend. And her response was, you know, well, we are friends. You know, you're my friend, I'm your friend, and okay. And so, with very little questioning, with very little, you know, with one more question, I was able to, you know, she didn't really have an answer for what I had to say and what the question was. So, well, if you're my friend, and you know, I'm here dating you because I want to sleep with you, and I want to, you know, I want to start, you know, I want to start a life with someone, and I think you're great. Is it okay for me if I'm sleeping with you? Is it okay that I sleep with someone else? And if she's my friend and you're my friend, what is the, you know, why is it not okay for me to sleep with her and for me to sleep with you? What's the difference? And she didn't really have a response. She couldn't really respond very well. And so I came in and I said, the difference is that you're my girlfriend. Like, I want to, you know, I want to sleep with you. I don't want to sleep with anyone else. I've invited you here. And in this line of speaking, I was very direct. Like, don't tell people that I'm your friend when I'm not. I'm your boyfriend. I'm better than a friend. I'm more than a friend. Don't tell people that. I want to start a life with you. I want to sleep with you. I want to do all the things that I want to do with you. I don't want to do it with someone else. But if that's what you want, then continue calling me your friend. And after I'd, you know, even, you know, partway before I'd finished speaking, you know, I saw her smile, and then she completely leaned in and kissed me. And this was, you know, very strange to me, because I felt like, you know, I'm being quite direct and aggressive in that statement. And on reflection, what I did is I made it secure. Like, I told her I was secure, and I gave her guardrails to actually feel how she wanted to feel in what I said. And she really appreciated my directness, my strength, and doing what masculinity does naturally. And it made me reflect further that in past relationships, I hadn't, when I'd had girlfriends and we'd kissed, they never really felt secure. They never really, you know, because I was doing what I was told to do, and I was listening to what they were saying, and I was giving what they were telling me, and I was, you know, buckling under any kind of pressure they gave me. And we were in a relationship, so it was always like they did it because they were in a relationship, but not because they wanted to. And this was the first real time a girl planted one on me, like proper planted one on me. And she was, you know, she was a very beautiful, lovely woman, and I didn't really expect that to ever happen at that point. So I'm trying to explain this because she played a closed game and I played an open, direct game. I want her to know how I feel, and I needed to do that first in order for her to tell me how she felt. So it is my opinion that the feminine energy in the world plays a very closed game because they need to protect themselves. Because, like previously, we said that men play open games, and violence is if it goes AWOL, that's the end result. You know, we can get to violence, and we can determine this in a very brutish, direct way. Women don't really have that when they're talking with men. You know, they can hit a man, but the moment a man hits a woman, it's endgame for her. She's losing, so she knows she can't do that, and obviously, you know, if a man does that, then, you know, that's a terrible thing for a man to do, to hit someone who's weaker. So he knows it's morally terrible in every way to hit a woman under any circumstance. So, you know, but they want to feel secure, and they want to feel like they are strong, and they need, like, it's almost as if that what the woman's opinion of what men should do is to Men should, isn't to tell a woman what to do and how to do it, isn't to like, you are under me. Both, men should be the man that a woman wants to submit to, not that a woman submits to. A man should be the person the woman wants to submit to. And so when and how a man does that is providing her the emotional security in himself to be the guardrails so that she can do whatever it is she needs to do. To be, which leans into why, women, women like to talk, and they don't like it when a man gives them solutions. When a man gives them solutions, it's saying, I don't trust you to make this decision on your own, and I don't really want to help, and you're not really worth my time. So when a woman, does talk to you, and talks and talks and talks, just it's all about asking her questions and like, what do you think you should do, and like, why do you think they did that, and getting them to think so that they can work out the situation on their own, unless they tell you, what do you think I should do? When they tell you that, then obviously you can say what you think. Don't try and be the secure person to say that I think you were wrong, I think she was wrong, or whatever it is, because that will provide security, and which will eventually lead to it will lead to strength in this relationship. So, but in the world at large, right? So taking this out of a more personal, individual thing, one of the common mistakes that men make is men will listen to women and what women tell them to do, and and like, what do women want? And so I went to my mum and like, what do women want? And they want this, this, and this, the flower, everything that movies say. They want the Prince Charming to bring the glass slipper and put it on her feet, right? That's what they want. And then to take her into his castle, and they want him to shower her with gifts. She wants him to shower her with gifts, and do that for her. And that is true, but you have to be the man that she wants. Most men will say, don't listen to women's advice on how to get a woman, and it's true. Women's advice to men is, if you are the man, it's always, if you are the man that she wants, this is what you should do. And maybe they're right there, but most of the time, for most men, it's like, when you hear this, it's like, if I do these things, I will get a result. And that's not how it works. You have to, one of my many pitfalls. I remember my dad telling me that, you need to take a risk on women. You need to risk things. You need to put something on the table so that they can, and then if they give you something back, you invest more. My dad told me this in a not so great way, and it ended me, I should have asked a few more questions. So it's not my dad's fault. Maybe it's a bit of his, maybe it's a bit of my fault, but you need to make some risk what you are willing to lose with someone, and then see if they respond. And if they don't respond, then great. Then you've worked it out, and you wasted a bit of time, but now that's not the person for you. If they're not going to respect you, if they're not going to give you what it is that you want. So, women, if you are not already attracting the woman that you want, listening to a woman's advice on what you should do would never be right. If you want to become the man to attract that kind of woman, because you can't just be a fat sweaty guy who smells funny, plays video games all day, and expect a stone cold 10 out of 10 to walk up to your door and knock and say, I want to be yours. It's not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Even if you're out in the street and you're that same guy, sweaty, smelly, and whatever, and you walk up to a girl, it's going to be no. And in that scenario, you're going to have to, if it would be a yes, you would have to provide so much more for her to feel comfortable to be with you. And even then, that may not be enough, and she may want other people. So the aim of the game isn't to be, it's not to be yourself. And it's it's not to do what women tell you. It's to be the best version of whoever it is you are. Always act as if you are the best version of what you are first. Attract women to you by doing whatever it is you do. So for the longest time, I thought dating was like I had to go to a restaurant, I have to do this, I have to do that, and there's the very movie way of doing things. That's but that's not how it is. What dating should be, and how it more successfully is the man is already doing something. I'm going to a concert, whether anyone's coming or not. I'm going to the movies, whether you like it or not, whether anyone wants to come with me. And then, hey, I'm going to the movies. Do you want to come with? No? Well, I'm going anyway, right? I'm confident and comfortable enough anyway to go do what it is I want. When the dating becomes, I'm doing something special because you're special, this becomes the expectation of what she wants. And if that's what you normally do, go to restaurants and you're doing this, whatever it is, then great. But if you're not doing those things regularly, that becomes her perception of what you are, and then that becomes in her mind insincere. And when she works that out, which they always will, no one's stupid enough to not work out that that's not normal. Once you actually get together and that stops happening, they're going to feel cheated because they were lied to. This is supposed to be normal. But when you're already doing something, like I'm playing video games, do you want to come? Right? If that's what you do, great. I'm going to the gym. Do you want to come? Like, that becomes a date. That becomes time you're spending together. It's not that it has to be quality time that you're spending with this individual. But if you're going to the gym, you're going on a run, you're meal prepping, you're drawing, you're making music, you're doing whatever, and you invite them along with you, and this is just normally what you do, then why wouldn't that be a thing? So what that becomes then is do something without any expectation of anyone else. What would you do without anyone else controlling anything? If it wasn't to impress anyone, what would you do? If you don't know, try stuff. Find something out. This is how the game works. You have to learn the rules of the game, work out why women work the way that they do, which they play indirect games because they want to stay protected and in a group, because when they're in the group they're more protected. Men, we're more bonkers. I don't think there's been many women who have gone on their own into the wilderness to sleep in a tent by themselves and go hunting. Men do that kind of stuff. It's not what all men do. It's just it's more of a man thing that and not that they couldn't. It's just that they don't want to. It just doesn't. It's not what they generally want to do. But men do that kind of crazy stuff. But if you were going to do that kind of thing, like, hey, do you want to come with? And like, it's gonna be cold. It's gonna be wet. It's gonna be all these things. But I'm gonna catch food, and because it's what I normally do, and I'm gonna, then we're gonna sit under stars by a fire. It's gonna be, that sounds like a great time. Sounds fantastic. It's a bit extreme maybe, but whatever it is that you would do without anyone thinking about it, do that. Invite them along, do the thing. And that will make them secure, that will make them, and if they don't respond and they don't like it, then they're like, okay, well, that's what I do. If you want to come, you're invited. I want you here, but if you don't want to be here, then that's fine. This is what I do. Just be directly whatever you think you are, understanding that they are playing a game as well, because they want security too. And there will be, and always understand that there are, if, it's thrown around, she's a 1 in a million girl. Even in saying that, if there's 8 billion people, 8.6 billion people, that means there's 8,600 women on the planet that are for you. At least 8,000, and the chances are it's much less than than one in a million. It's much easier to find someone who's interested in you for what you do. And so if one woman doesn't work out, like there are others. And for the women, if it doesn't work out with the man, there are other men out there that'll give you what you want. And, and if you can't find them, then, maybe the issue is more with you than it is with the other person. And so then it becomes being the best version of who you are. Could you be thinner, fitter, faster? Could you be more interesting? Could you read more books? Could you know more things? Could you help them with more whatever? That is how it is what it is. So to be a man is to be direct. I think this, and to deal with whatever it is that whatever the response is, to deal with that. And it's for the woman to try and be safe, so she will play those games. And and so it's being direct, being open, being honest, and allowing them to do whatever it is they want to do, no matter how silly and stupid, and sticking to your guns, sticking to what and but not being restrictive, and being the man that the woman wants to submit to, not women should submit. You have to be someone that they want. Be someone that attracts them to you by how you act. Be interesting. Be the guy. Whatever, and whatever interesting means to you is interesting. Whether it's I don't know, if you're someone who paints toilet seats and sells them, whatever, it doesn't matter. If that's your thing, great. It's weird. That's interesting. It's strange. And if you don't care about what other people think, and you're there painting, murals onto toilet seats, great. Do it. Do that. That's interesting. It's weird. It's strange. It's whatever. And the strange, weird thing would give you the advantage because you're not like anyone else. So, anyway, right. So let's end this here. Right. It's been just over 30 minutes. So if you've come to the end, I have an announcement to make. I have started making my own soap, and I want to sell it. So I created a website. It's called Bear Back Rub Soap, and I've only made one type so far. It's Pine Wilderness. It's soap made specifically for men. I make it myself, and if you're interested, and there's going to be a link below. I kind of had the reason I started this is because a few months ago I bought some soap, and I felt really excited about it, and I was like, all right, if I feel excited about this, and this makes me feel more masculine because it did, then maybe I could do that. Maybe I can make something that people can use every day. That people can buy again and again. Soap, it lasts only so long, and it will help them feel good. I can make a brand that makes men feel more like men, more strong. And I went through my mind and thought, what animal could I imagine, or could I communicate what it smells like? Because like a lion, I don't know what Africa smells like. I don't know what the savannah smells like. I have no idea. With tigers, don't really know what they smell like. With more Arctic animals, they smell like snow. What does snow smell like? Nothing. So, but bears rub their backs against trees, and so they would smell like pine. They would smell like a wood. So I created a very old school masculine smell, and when I've given it to people, they've come back that it's very strong, and it's I didn't make it for women. I made it for men, and my aim with this soap is that you would smell like what a woman would want you to smell like. When you're using a soap, if you're someone who still lives at home, or you're married, or whatever, if you're in a relationship and the girl is buying the soap, she's buying soap that she wants, and that's fine. But then as men, we don't really care. We would just, whatever, it doesn't really matter. Bam, bam, bam. Who cares? It's just soap. It does the job. But that's soap for women. It's aimed at them. It's designed for them to be silky smooth, to do all this. I wanted a soap that helps men feel like men, that is more masculine, that gives men more that kind of idea. So if that's something you're interested in, then there's going to be a link below for the website. It's barebackrub.co.uk if you're in the UK. I'm only going to sell it in the UK for now. If you're from a different country and you want it, then let me know and I can see if I can make that available. It'll depend on shipping costs and what people are willing to do, and so we'll have to see. And yeah, okay, cool. So well, let's end the video there. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate your time, your energy, and your effort. I want you to be the best man that you can be, the best version of yourself that you can be, and this is why I make these videos, so that, you know, not only the people that I don't know, maybe like yourself, but you know, my future children, they'll have something to know that I've been caring about them this whole time. I want to give them the best information I have now, based on my experience, based on what I know, so that I can help anyone and everyone struggling with what I struggled with. So I hope this video helps you, gives you a bit more of a perspective on why, you know, why women act the way that they do and why men tend to understand one part of it and not get the other, and how now you can kind of understand that if they're playing this game because they want to feel safe, I can now see why they're saying certain things. I can now work out better and react more to what they're saying. So there you go. Have a great day, and I will see you next time.